off. And now I mentioned earlier that if these cogs and mechanisms become detached, you can have a lot of trouble putting them together, and essentially that's what this video is going to be all about. So what happens is these have got very light springs on them here, and underneath there are little cogs and these little cross guide rails here, and if I move the whole thing apart you can see how it works. I just wanted to give you a close up on that, because if yours has fallen apart, just by looking at this it might help you see where the bits go. There's the spring there, and the end of those arms go in this little guide here, and the end of the other arm goes in a guide there. Now on the other one, here's a close-up of the 410 version. It's simpler and you get less problems with it, but yet again just have a look at where the springs are. There's a spring there, it falls under that little catch. There's a little spring there, and it's the same on the other side except it doesn't have this spring. Now underneath there's a lot of cogs, and if they fall out then you can have problems. So let's look at the first one. We'll try and do this in 10 minutes. What happens with these is if they get overextended they come out, and then you've got problems. See, that's the springs have gone in that now, and it can get even worse if this comes off, which it can do quite easily. The whole mechanism can fall apart, and you can see the little cogs. There's nothing holding those cogs in, so when they fall out you end up with major problems. Okay, so we're just putting the cogs back in. Now, as I say this is pretty tricky, and I'm not even 100% sure if I'm going to get this right. So that's one. This one I haven't taken off. It's exactly the same on the other side. And what I'll do is there's a little slide there. If you get that on its runner, it should be all right. And then we just need to make sure that at the back that spring's connected, that cross arm. Just lift it up, and there we go. So that one's reset. So what we need to do is we just introduce it back up. So that little tag comes over the runner. Oops, little tag comes over the runner. And then we need to hold it in place by putting this part back on. It just sits on like that, which holds it in place. Unfortunately, there's a little spring needs to go around the back of it. So what I'll do first is I'll reconnect on the bottom half, and when I'm moving this around, guys, I'm holding everything in place with my finger that way and the other way, almost like that. Just hold things in place so they don't fall off. So what we'll do is we'll put that spring back on there, so that went in onto there, so they're both spring loaded again, and they're held in place by that little spring. Okay, now back on the top we need to now repair this, and this is very tricky. So what I'll do is put the spring back, pop that into place, and then release the spring. There's a little tab just there that the spring has to catch onto, and it missed that time, so we'll try again. Let's lift this up. Come on. Grab the hold of the spring, hold it back, pop that back on, and then make sure the spring, yes, there we go. There's the spring just sitting there over that tab, and we're back to that's all functional again. Okay, on the 410, sorry, yet again, there we have it. It's come apart, and there's a big spring on the back there. Just take that off. There's the 3 cogs. Now both sides are pretty much the same, except as I showed you earlier, there's a little spring there. So what we'll do is we'll put this piece back together and we'll show you how it works. Looks pretty similar to the 400 version. You just put the cogs back on. 1, 2, 3. Okay folks, so we've got our little cogs back in there, and now we need to introduce the one we've put back together into this. There's a couple of little points I want to show you here, very important for this. If these cogs aren't properly meshed together, you're never going to get your the other one in. So just a few points. This one, which is the left hand side one, if it's facing down, obviously the right hand side one, the way you're looking at it at the moment, where they come together, see the 2 top cogs. This right hand one, it comes on top if they were to go right over. See what I mean? It's on the top. The other thing is there's a little lever here that's connected with this spring. If you don't push that forward, you'll not be able to get that fully opened. See that? It only goes so far. When you want it to fully open, you need to pull it forward with your thumb, and then it fully opens. And the reason why I show you that is, once we introduce this, we need to reconnect. Well, you need to do this upside down, so I'll turn it over. That hole goes into that, okay, and obviously then that little tag there has to go into the groove. So bring it right over. There it's in. Now turn it over, just holding everything in place. This is where we need to open this mechanism up so that these cogs interconnect. So pull that back with your thumb and push it right back so the whole thing's fully opened, and then that engages with the first one, and then springs back down. Okay, so let's do that again. Engages with the very first one there, and then it falls back down. Now all is left to do is reconnect the spring on the top, this spring, and if you watch carefully you can see, well, it's actually on the bottom, sorry, you need to reconnect it. I'll zoom that in a bit for you. Now goes onto there, onto that, round there, and then this piece has to clip in place.